self-consciousness. No wonder why it takes so many lifetimes to get there. I know I'm still working at it. How about you? And that's why we need the 12 powers of the Christ. And as you know, we're doing the series of the 12 powers in the Christ. And today, the power is power. There's one power that's actually called power. And I love what Eric Butterworth says about that. He said, God is not a being directing or dispensing power. God is power itself. And since we are one with God, united with God, in a sense, God in expression, we are the power as well. We have that power as well. So all we have to do is call it forth and use it. And so one of the 12 powers is power. And the apostle was Philip. They gave him that power because he was a healer. He spoke the word, and his word went out and healed. He had the power to heal. The color is purple, which, as many of you know, is that high spiritual color. And the place in the body is the throat, the power center. Throat, speaking the word. Call it forth, and that's why in meditation I use that quote from Isaiah, "My word goes out and does not return until it is accomplished that which I send it to do." Wow, am I in trouble? Can you think of all the words you've spoken this week that sent out? And every word we speak either goes up and builds up the universe or tears it down. Sometimes I'm embarrassed when I think of all the power I have and what words I use to send out. Now, on the flip side of that, some people think being spiritual, and this is one of my pet peeves, so especially when people meet me and know I'm a minister, all of a sudden they get real sweet. and they have this real false sweet, like, "Hi, I'm just so sweet, and so my voice is so, my voice is so, and I just went, oh, come on. Being spiritual doesn't mean being sweet and soft. It's being clear and strong, and yes, gentle. Doesn't mean using force. I know when I get excited, I can get forceful with my voice and I can feel people, backing away. Doesn't mean forceful, but strong and clear. Speaking your truth is a power to learn, to hone, to really know how to speak your truth with clarity and gentle strength. Now, I know I didn't find my personal power until I could speak my truth around people. Anybody here have trouble with that, speaking your truth? Yeah. It takes courage. It takes courage. Your truth isn't always accepted. And it doesn't mean getting in arguments with everybody, but gently and clearly and strongly speaking your truth. I finally knew I tapped into my power when I was able to do that with confidence. Not having to be right or win or anything like that, but just being able to speak it. So here's some examples of different people that have been able to use the power of the word to change people's lives. Now, you all know Reverend Edwin Gaines, the Unity Minister. The people that have seen and heard her are smiling right now because she is such a joy. And she uses the power of the word to teach people about prosperity and abundance when you know your oneness with God. And I tell you what, that woman will never, ever speak a word of lack. Have you ever heard her speak a word of lack? Never. Every word she speaks is a word of clear and strong knowing that we are one with God. So she has helped to change people's lives by the power of her word. Mahatma Gandhi spoke the power of non-resistance, and he demonstrated change in a whole nation through speaking the power of non-resistance. Martin Luther King in this country preached the word of love and tolerance to change a nation. And we really have to continue with those words of tolerance and love, not argumentatively, but speaking your truth gently, strongly, clearly when it comes up. Jesus, of course, was the greatest demonstrator of all. Every time he spoke the word, somebody got healed. Can you imagine the power of his word going out? No wonder why so many, because he had that assurance of his oneness with God, that assurance that he was the power that could heal, and that's why it worked. He knew in faith And the best story, I think, and I've talked about this one before, when he was on the boat with his apostles and the storm came up and the sea became very stormy, and metaphysically, of course, this is our sea of consciousness when our thoughts go into stormy rage and negative thinking, and our whole mind becomes like that steam, that sea that is suddenly raging. And he stood up in the boat, and what did he say? Peace, be still. And all the elements calmed. Can you imagine the power to calm the elements? And of course, metaphysically, they're really talking about when your mind starts to go crazy. Am I the only one here that has that happen?
Oh, yeah.
But we have the power to say, peace, be still, to our minds, to calm those thoughts, because then we're back in that place of peace. And that's where our power is. Our power isn't in the raging thoughts. Our power is in that place of peace. And Jesus used it to walk on water, to transform water into wine, to transform the human nature into a spiritual nature. And then he had the audacity to say that these things I do, you can do also and more. Can you believe he said that? And I know everybody in here has used that power in your life. Even if you don't know it, you have used it. It got us all here today. We're all in the same place, and we've used the power of intention and our thoughts and words to come together in this same place today. Now, Myrtle Fillmore, the mother of unity, was a great demonstrator as well. You all know the story. She was, not expected to live. She had TB, which back then was pretty bad. And she spoke the word in prayer every day, in healing prayer. She spoke the word until she was completely healed. And she said in her books, I want everybody to know about this beautiful, true law and use it. It's not a new discovery, but when you use it and get the fruits of health and harmony, it will seem new to you, and you will feel that it's your own discovery. Oh, look what I found. I discovered the power I have. I've discovered the power in me, and she used it, and she demonstrated wholeness and health. We've been given dominion, we're told. We've been given dominion. That doesn't mean dominion over each other, or it doesn't mean the dominion to abuse animals or the earth or other people. We've been given dominion over our thoughts, over our mind, and how we speak the word. And I know I speak for myself. I have misused that dominion at times. It's a constant discipline. Would you repeat with me? There is a power in me that is so much greater than anything in the world. Together, there is a power in me that is greater, so much greater, yes, than anything in the world. Let's say that one more time. There is a power in me that is so much greater than anything in the world. And you'd think that would comfort us, but it can scare the you-know-what out of us. And I've often shared that dream I had one night when I was walking in the grass, and I found a manhole cover, and I opened it up, and it was like atomic power started to come out, and I slammed that manhole cover back. And I woke up and I realized I just tapped into my own power, and it scared the hell out of me. And why do you think we're so afraid of the power? Well, to me, power's not good or bad. It's like electricity. You can heal with electricity, or you can kill with electricity. You wouldn't give a child a book of matches. You wouldn't tell a child to stick their finger in an electric socket. And yet we have all that power in us. No wonder why we're afraid of it. If I misuse my word once in a while, think of what I would do with that power. And I got my button on, my finger on that button. We talk about pushing the button. It can scare us. Remember the old show, this is showing my age. Do you remember the old TV show, Truth or Consequences? Does that show how old I am? All right. Well, metaphysically, every thought, every word we speak has truth or consequences, the law of cause and effect. Everything I send out there has an effect. So what happens when we send out words of fear, words of hate, words of judgment? They have a consequence, and we have sent them out collectively. And what happens when we send out words of love, truth, oneness, peace, harmony? They have consequences collectively. So you can see that we have to use this power with great care, don't we? Not with paranoia, but with care. And use them along with the other 12 powers of wisdom, understanding, love, and so on. What a discipline. And people think that this positive church is so easy, right? It's the hardest thing I've ever had to do, discipline myself, come on. Charles Fillmore talked about the real purpose of power. He said, man is the power of God in action. Wow. Man is the power of God in action. To man, and when he says man, he's talking about, men and women, is given the highest power in the universe, the conscious power of thought. Power is man's innate control over his own thoughts, words, and feelings. What power we have been given. So there's the right use of power and the misuse of that power. Again, it's not to control another person, not to abuse an abuse or abuse the earth. But it's a master over our own minds, thoughts, and words. Only bullies use power against another. And I believe that's like a boomerang. Every word is like a boomerang. It comes back on us. And so that karma goes with it. What we send out comes back on us. Which is why the 12 powers have to be used together. Power with wisdom, with love, with understanding, with right judgment. Okay. So power is directed through the mind, through the body, our feeling nature, and our spirit. Let's talk about spirit first. First of all, spirit is the power. We think it's our ego power. I used to think, I'm not very powerful, I'm weak, so on, because my body felt weak. That's not where our power is. You could be sick in bed dying and still have that spiritual power in sending out in prayer. To heal, to uplift, to comfort, to create, to strengthen. Spirit is the power, which is why Jesus said, seek the kingdom first and all else will be given you. Because if we go after what power will give us, we're just getting that one thing and it may not last. But if you seek the kingdom first, your awareness of your union with the power, then there's nothing that will be kept from you, nothing you can't have, do, or be. Seek the kingdom first. The power of your union with God, union with that power. Charles Fillmore said, spiritual power is omnipresent. It's released in our body by spiritualizing our consciousness. And this divine energy will surge through us as we erase negative thoughts from consciousness and become one with God mind. Now, we already are one with God, so it's becoming aware of our oneness. So would you repeat with me and then fill in the blank at the end, however you want to use it. In union with God, I am the power to whatever you want to do. Together in union with God, I am the power to heal, to prosper, to create. Whatever you want to fill in the blank. I in union with God, I am the power. And you really shift your mind to knowing that, because your mind is another place that the power is directed through our mind, through our thoughts, and like the song we sang earlier, lifts us up to a higher place of being. Charles Fillmore said, the mind and body of man have the power to transform energy from one plane of consciousness to another. If you believe in parallel universes, or that there are many dimensions right in this room, the power of the mind and the body have the power to transform energy from one plane of consciousness to another. This is power and dominion implanted in man from the beginning. And our prayerful thoughts of love and peace and unity can manifest on earth as it is in heaven. We are the magician in the Tarot. We are the magician to manifest on earth as it is in heaven through that power. But Jesus taught that it was a power that can only be used with peace. And that's taking us into that third area, our feeling nature. The nature of peace The feeling nature of peace gives energy to that power. So if you're in fear, you're actually disempowering yourself. Anytime you're in fear, you're disempowering yourself. And when we find that place of peace, we're empowering ourselves. That's why everything Jesus said started with, peace be still, peace be unto you, my peace I give to you, not as the world gives, but the peace that I give to you. Because he knew, when you knew your union with God, you would be in that centered place of peace, which is the place of your real power. So the fourth is directing it through the body. We have dominion over form. You wouldn't know it by looking at me, but we have dominion over form. Charles Fillmore once again said there is a universal creative force that urges man forward to the recognition of the creative power of his individual thought. His thought is elemental, and all its attributes come under the dominion of man. When he cooperates with principle, man sits on the throne of his authority, and the elemental force is subject to him. Wow. All the elemental forces are subject to us. Is that power or what? Wow. So I guess it comes with responsibility. How do we use this power so that it's a positive power for good rather than a negative power? Well, the first thing, of course, is to release any negative thought patterns. We all have them. What toxic thoughts keep you in that lower vibrational state and need to be released from your consciousness? I know I have my own list. And then ask yourself, but what thoughts do I have that are in harmony with good, that are in harmony with love, with peace, with harmony? And once we get there, then the second thing is to simply know your union with the divine power. That you are one with it, that you are it. What thoughts of separation do I need to release? And what do I need to truly know to be in that place of peace and that awareness of the power that I am? Charles Fillmore in The Revealing Words said, man is the power of God in action. To man is given the highest power in the universe, the conscious power of thought. Wow. Now more than ever, we have to use that power for good, to unite us, for good, for love, for peace. We have to use the power of the voice to speak up, not in an argumentative way, not arguing with everybody you meet, but whenever you can, speak words of love, of oneness, of union. And if you don't want to do it publicly, go home, shut the door and be private if you're a private person, and run around your house speaking words of love, speaking words of peace. Stomp your feet, give it energy. Speaking words through prayer that will shift the consciousness of all people to every heart and every mind gets it. Love is the power. When we say we are power, love is the power. There's no other power that's true or real or lasting. Prayer, speaking the word, engages the power and directs the power. And then trust and surrender are like a gear helping us to get out of the way, so the higher power can move it out and let it accomplish in a higher way what we have sent it out to do. Love is the power. Prayer engages it, directs it, and surrender and trust helps us to get out of the way. As it comes to prayer, let's take that into quiet prayer. Again, we close our eyes from that outer world of appearances, just a crazy dream. We go to the place of truth deep within us, the place where we are at peace in that assurance of our oneness with God, the place where we know we are the power. And we send that word out now in prayer to direct our thoughts, our words, our consciousness into a place of love and peace and harmony. And that word goes out touching every heart and every mind until everyone around the planet awakens to the realization we are one. We are love. We are the power of the presence, and we choose to use that power for good. And we say thank you, Father, Mother God, in the nature of the Christ. And so it is, so it truly is. Amen.
Please join us in singing God is My Source. It's in the bulletin.